Hello and welcome to the Cooks Pantry. We are set up again on the Noosa River, and I couldn't think of a more appropriate way to end an incredible day of filming. We're going to do up a little ceviche. Now this thing is super vibrant, punchy, fresh, and considering it's beer o'clock, the sun is starting to come down and we are on the bank of the river, this is absolutely hitting that nail on the head. If you haven't had a ceviche before, it's very common. I believe it originated in Peru. So it's a South American dish. It's basically using acidity of some fresh citrus. Today we're going to be using some lime juice and just a couple of other really simple complementary flavors to use with some raw fish. And we've got some lovely local amberjack here. If you've got kingfish, mahi-mahi, any white flesh firm fish, works really, really well with this style of cooking. Now I've developed a slight obsession with these. So these are just wonton skins and you turn them into a little cracker. So they fry up really, really well. And they're a nice little biscuit, a nice little base. You make your ceviche mix, little pile of those, bowl of ceviche, stack one on top of the other, and it is an awesome combination. So you want to go like a little fine dice. You don't want it to go too fine. I think raw fish is becoming one of the most popular things on menus around the country because we have access to such incredible produce. So you really don't need to do too much to it. So we've got our strips of fish there, and now we're just going to go back the other way and just get a little bit of a crisscross happening and a nice, relatively fine dice. You still want a little bit of size in there. You don't want to cut it too fine. You cut it too fine, the acid will it will cook it right through and it will start to break down the protein, and you will end up with something that resembles tin tuna. So that's not what this dish is about. And it's really as simple as that. Have a look at the puff on those. So that oil would have had to have been at up around 190. So the hotter it is, you're gonna get a much bigger reaction. They're gonna pop, they're gonna puff, and they're gonna give you that texture. So they're an awesome little cracker. Now to get back to the fish and pair it with the really, really simple accompaniments, I'm gonna kick it off with the cucumber. So just gonna take the base off and a couple of inches. And the easiest way to do it, you can cut them in half and use a spoon to take out the seeds, but I'm just gonna basically just box around it. We just want this outer really firm flesh, and I'm not opposed to the skin, so absolutely leave that on. And the same deal with the fish. So we're gonna cut it into very similar style segments, but this has got a completely different texture to it. So we're just gonna have another little fine dice here. Now for a little bit of heat, with your chilies, before you commit to throwing the whole thing in there, just take the little tip, dab it on. Pretty mild. So I'm gonna use half of this one and just slice it across the grain. Make sure you get the seeds in there because you do want that little bit of heat. My lime juice is slinging out all over the place. Oh dear. Look at the color as well. So you've got the beautiful flesh of the fish underneath, the green from the cucumber, the red from the chili, kaffir lime. Top 5, I reckon, of my favorite ingredients. Easiest way to do it, take the spine out of the middle, stack one on top of the other, and just roll. Just roll them up. These are super fresh. You can hear them crackling. All right, and again, sit them down and just really slowly get it as fine as you possibly can. Pinch of salt, that's enough rocking for today. Lime juice over the top. The recipe says 2/3 of a cup. Normally I put the lime in last minute, but it was giving me too much grief. It was rocking all over the place, and I've still got a couple of things to cut. One of them being a golden shallot. So quite simply, we'll just top and tail it. And you normally get them where they're sort of split into two there. You've got like two little buds on it. So I'm gonna take that smaller one off the side. That should do us. Just gonna slice her up as fine as possible. You don't want that big hit of chunky, oniony flavor. Nice and fine over the top. And then the final one, some curry stem. Get your stem and just cut yourself some little little chunks. You know, you don't want to cut it too fine because you want it to be known. You want it to be there. It's all well and good that that's the, you know, the pretty part, but this is where the flavor bomb is at. Okay, so really, quite simply, just fold it all through. Fold that all through, and you can see the lime juice. And the reason why lime would generally go in at the last minute, it's already started to color that fish, and it's essentially cooking the outside of it with its acidity. So just give that a little spin through. And the cool thing about eating a dish like this is it does continue to change from the get-go. You're eating it, the fish is, I guess, only very gently touched by the acid, but then as you get towards the end, it's cooked a little bit more, the texture's changed, the flavor's changed, done. Throw that in the middle of the table, sit it on the sand, get yourself a little plate with your crackers, throw them on top. And I do believe I made the producer a bit of a deal here. Seeing as though it is beer o'clock, I have knocked up a beer snack fitting for the crew. I've just got to make sure that she's a woman of her word and she delivers the cold beers. Maddie? Maddie?